Thank you for joining us today for the virtual Sunday service with the Center for Creative Living. CCL, a charter of the Universal Church of the Master, has served and supported the spiritual needs of its community here in the Bay Area for over 20 years.
We have a very wonderful service this morning, and I want you all to take a chance to learn something new about Hanukkah. And if you could all realize that we are being Zoomed, so anything you're saying in the audience is going to be heard all over the world.
Yay!
You might want to be careful what you're saying.
With a worldwide audience, that's what I got.
Okay. So, and Corky, could you give me Tiffany's, what she's going to be speaking about?
Life is a journey, not a destination.
Life is a journey, not a destination is going to be our next speaker, and that's from Tiffany Kiefer. So I think that sounds like a great title. For those of you who are not aware, December 1st is World AIDS Day. And one of the things that I was talking to our lovely Gabrielle about was that a friend of mine, Lynn Singleton, and I did the first World AIDS Day for the Billy DeFrank in 1991.
1996.
1996, thank you so very much. And it was a time when there was so much sadness going on and so many problems. And somebody says, we want to have a day that we can observe for the AIDS plague. And I said, but it needs to be worldwide. So I had 27 men stand up and talk about the country of origin of their family or their parents or wherever, and talked about what AIDS was doing to their community. And since then, I lost my brother, and I lost a dear friend of mine, Byron. I lost my receptionist, Donald. And Jim, and Joe, and it goes on, and a friend of mine, Linda Garcia. And there were so many people that I lost through AIDS. And now I feel the same way about what we're going through with this plague. I've now lost 9 people that were very dear to me. One was a woman I had known for 65 years, and she passed. So when you think about, oh my gosh, we've never gone through this before. Yes, folks, we went through it before during the AIDS plague. Yes, we're still going through it, and I think we're still going to see the long haulers from COVID too going into years. So when you feel this pit of despair of I can't take this anymore, that's when you look to the Creator and say, I need some help. But it's also a time you look to your friends and family. If you're depressed, don't say, oh, this is okay, everybody's depressed. This is you. When you get depressed, find somebody you can reach out to, or a professional that you can reach out to.
Yeah, it's personal when it's you.
Yeah, when it's very personal when it's you. So just take a moment to think about that. Don't be in a place if it's only you. Start reaching out and having other people help you. Okay, yes, Jan.
I just want to acknowledge, speaking of World AIDS Day, it is on December 1st. And one of our people that comes to our rejuvenation retreats, but also has come here a couple of times, Ms. Lavella Benton, is going to be a part of the flag raising ceremony.
Oh, great!
So if anyone wants to, participate, there are several things happening. I unfortunately will be out of town, but there are several things happening on December 1st for World AIDS Day.
Right.
And it's something that we still need to generate support for.
Right. Yeah, and I was lucky enough to be at the City Hall on the Rotunda and did it one year, and it's an amazing observation of that day. Now, this is a time when each one of you, I want you to take a moment. We're going to do a wonderful meditation, and I'm going to ask our lovely Dr. Janet Childs. I always stop because I don't know whether to say Reverend or Doctor first. Reverend Doctor.
Let's say Jan.
Jan, okay. Janet Childs. And You want me to lead the meditation and you're going to accompany
Yes, I
me?
would love it.
This is always one of those things of, it's not just the seat of our pants. It's kind of like, hey, I feel like doing it today. So if you ever feel like leading a meditation, let me know. It's open. So right now I'd like you all to get comfortable and put your feet flat on the floor. Uncross your arms. Either close your eyes if that's comfortable or keep them open. And take a nice deep breath and I want you to follow the sound of my voice. As many of you know, I come from the desert. I usually meditate around trees or the ocean. But today I want you to journey with me into some views in the Mojave Desert. And as we're going to be walking along, and we're following a path. So in your mind's eye, see a path going through the desert. It's solid, this path. Many, many feet have walked this path before. And with each footstep you take, realize you're getting deeper and deeper into a state of meditation. And as you walk this path, one foot in front of the other, you can feel the energy of the Native American, the indigenous people who made this path. And as we're walking along, you can feel the sun on your shoulders. You can feel the whisper of the breeze through the Joshua trees. Now let go of all the stress in your body. Just start out with your shoulders and drop your shoulders down. Those shoulders have been up around your neck for a while. Just feel them drop down. And as you walk, then feel all your back, from your neck all the way to your tailbone, just relax. Each step takes you deeper and deeper into a state of relaxation. But it also moves you forward to an outcropping of rocks. And as you walk up to these rocks, you realize there's hollows that have been made by ancient peoples grinding corn. Ancient peoples that are living in these rocks, and they're called the Buttes. And as you walk deeper into these outcroppings, you feel the peacefulness. You feel the calmness. You feel the sense of the elderly, those who have gone before, at a time when there was peace. No war, no anger, no frustration, no hopelessness. Just a feeling of being one with the tribe and one with the planet and one with the Creator. Right here and right now, you are one with your tribe and one in peace and one with the Creator. So just really totally relax and listen to our wonderful chant.
We are taking the path to the desert. We are taking the path to our home. This path will carry us step by step. We are walking together. One step, but we are not alone. And we find our joy in the heart of the the Spirit rises. Oh, and feel the hope in your life. Feel Creator is around us, filling our senses and giving us this moment to be. Peace flows like a river. Oh, and peace is as solid as stone. Oh, peace flows like a river through our hearts and minds and souls. We are not alone. We walk the path of peace, step by step. We walk the path of hope, holding up our lives to the world, and in the midst of all that is holding our heart, we are set free by the wings of love. We are set free. We are set free. With every step we take, we stretch our wings and fly. And as we gather in this community, we take our candles, and from all that we have gained, we light the light. We light the light. We spread our wings, and we fly. We light the light. We light the light. With all that we have lived through, we are the light. With all that we have given, we are the light. We are the light.
Thank you so much, Janet. I want you to open your eyes. I'm thankful that Janet brought in not only the desert, but the light of lights for Hanukkah and the lighting of lights December 8th. Did you have something to say about that, Janet?
Absolutely. It is all virtual this year, according to our Bill Wilson Center community. We have to have it virtually, but we are going to have a special honoring of the VTA event. We're going to have a special community candle, and we're going to have the lighting of the community candles in general, and then we are going to invite you to light your light. And it's a glass enclosed candle with a sticker acknowledging that it is Light of Lights 2021. And you will say the names of your loved ones you wish to light the candle for. We will virtually light it for you. And then the next day, you can actually physically pick up your candle.
Or you can ask that we pick them up for you and give them to you next Sunday.
Perfect.
Sunday after
And
Wednesday.
thank you, Reverend Doctor, for thinking of that brilliant solution. So please join us. It's from 6:30 to 8:30, and all are welcome. Please come and do that action step of lighting the light.
Thank you so very much. Okay. Well, Reverend Ann, our wonderful Reverend Ann is going to be talking about Hanukkah. And if any of you were raised in a specific faith or have studied a specific faith that you're very interested in and would like to share, this is what the Center for Creative Living is. It's bringing together everyone, united together and realizing that the Creator created all of us. The Creator didn't just create a little group in the desert, or a little group in New York City, or a little group. We are all one. And when you think of being one with everyone, you realize that what's happening now in South Africa is also happening here. What's happening in different countries and different spaces is also happening here. So I want you to realize that. It's one of those things that most people forget, that God just didn't create a few people. God created everyone. Reverend Ann, are you ready? Why don't you come up now?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you get in here if I slowly back up?
I can. Back up slowly. Actually, I had requested that our beautiful Reverend Chris Brown open our service today with a couple of prayers, and then we'll get into the fun talk. We'll talk about, well, it's not all fun, but what Hanukkah is about, a little bit of the history, some of my family adventures, and things like that. So, Chris, would you come on up, and April? Thank you.
I'm fine. I get to see this pretty outfit that you're wearing.
I was going to say, we're few.
Chris?
Take it.
You bet. Well, I am so pleased to be here doing prayers today. So one of the gifts, gifts that I have, I guess, is that I can chant in Hebrew. I didn't grow up Jewish. I do have a Jewish lineage. I did go to synagogue for about 2 years, and that's where I learned it and loved it. And so I'm going to offer a couple of prayers today with a little bit of explanation. And I'm just really honored and pleased to do so. One of the things about praying in Judaism is there's certain prayers you can't do if there aren't 10 adults in the room. So I'm wondering, do we have at least 10 adults in the room? It used to be men, but we're going to let the women count too. Yes, I've already counted. We have many more than 10, so I'm very lucky to be able to do this here today. The first prayer that I'm going to do, it's not really a prayer, I call it a proclamation. It's called the Shema. It's a proclamation of the oneness of God.
It is actually considered the most sacred prayer in the Jewish religion.
Yeah.
If you had to boil it all down to one statement, here it is. And April is here to translate. One thing I want to let you know is in the prayers, when they say Israel, it means to them the universe.
Right.
It includes everyone. So any statement speaking about Israel is speaking about everyone. Shema Israel Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Hear, O Israel, the Lord is God, the Lord is one.
Baruch Shem Kevod Malkuso Leolam Vaed.
Blessed is his name, whose kingdom is forever and ever.
We got awfully big just now, didn't we? I love raising the roof. I'm trying so hard to be responsible. So,
Responsible. Let it flow.
so the second prayer is longer, and this is called the Kaddish. Now, the particular version of the Kaddish is called Chatzi Kaddish. There are numerous Kaddishes. And the Kaddish is a prayer that exalts and sanctifies God's name. You may be familiar with it, sometimes being called the mourner's prayer. It's recited after people die, and it talks about how God is great and helping make that transition for people here and there. Now, the Kaddish is actually not in Hebrew. The Kaddish is in Aramaic. So I'm about to chant in Aramaic, which is, the ring just got bigger again. And Aramaic was the lingua franca of the Jewish peoples. It enables everyone to pray together. It's delivered in the vernacular, the common language. And so this is a very intimate prayer. Yitkadal yitkadash Shema.
Exalted and hallowed be God's great name.
Be'alma divra chirutei v'amlich malchutei.
In the world which God created according to plan, may God's majesty be revealed.
B'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye dechol beit Israel.
In the days of our lifetime and in the life of all Israel.
Bagala, bagala, uvizman kari, ve'imru amen.
Speedily, intimately, to which we say, Amen.
Yehei shmei Rabba mavorach, le'alam u'lal me'amaya, yiparach.
Blessed be God's great name to all eternity.
Yiparach v'yishtabach, ve'yipar ve'yitramam ve'yitnasei, v'yitadar ve'yitale ve'yitalav, shemei dekudesha brichu.
Blessed, praised, honored, exalted, extolled, glorified, adored, and laud to be the name of the Holy Blessed One.
Leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tush v'chata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma, ve'imru amen.
Beyond all earthly words and songs of blessing, praise and comfort, to which we say, Amen.
Oseh shalom. Let's just.
He who makes peace. Sorry.
Oseh shalom bimramav.
He who makes peace in his high places.
Hu yaseh shalom aleinu.
He who makes peace for us.
Ve'al kol Israel.
For all Israel.
Ve'imru amen.
Let us say, Amen.
Yaseh shalom. Yaseh shalom.
May he make peace. May he make peace.
Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Israel.
Peace be peace for us and all Israel.
And I'm gonna now put that to melody. Anyone who knows this song is welcome to sing it, and if you can follow, you're welcome to try that. I don't. It's the same one.
Okay, but you want me to do it again?
No, because I'm gonna sing it.
You want me to sing what you say?
I wasn't gonna have you do it. You want to sing it?
I just want to know if I do it in English. You're done. Perfect.
You're standing with me.
Okay,
You're part
and
of
you're
my
just
name.
singing. Okay.
We have no idea if this is a good idea or not. Osei shalom bimromav, uyaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'emru amen. Yahaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, Yahaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you, April. Thank you very much for your beautiful energy in there as well. I'll take this all the way off. Okay. Try not to talk too loud here. So, actually, tonight is actually the first candle for Hanukkah this year. Hanukkah is celebrated on the Jewish calendar. It's called Kislev 25. Now, the Jewish calendar is a lunar calendar, so it changes every year. And this year it's very close to Thanksgiving. I think it was a few years ago, it was actually on Thanksgiving Day. And I think that was the last time in something like 1,300 years before we'll be saying Happy Thanksgiving and Happy Hanukkah on the same day. But it's pretty close. And having heard the Kaddish and it's a little bit challenging for me at the moment. It was 4 years ago on the 26th that I lost my brother. Hasn't even been a year since my mom has been gone. So this is the first Hanukkah that actually I've celebrated, without at least talking to my mom, because she lived in Oregon, and so it's kind of nice and interesting in a way. But the other thing that I thought was interesting, Chris, was how you said that there needed to be 10 men in the room in order to sing, the Kaddish. But I don't know how many people are aware, but in the Jewish religion, you are what your mother is. So if you're in a mixed marriage and your mother is Catholic and your father is Jewish, then most likely you're going to be following the Catholic path. If you are in a family where the mother is Jewish and the father is Catholic, then most likely you're going to be following the Jewish path. I come from a family where everybody was Jewish, so didn't have a lot of choice, except that I had a choice.
You're absolutely right, Annie.
Yeah. But it's why Janet calls herself a cashew, because I believe your father was Jewish, is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, and Chris, I think it was the same with you?
Yes.
Yes.
And my stepfather was Jewish.
Yes, I remember that when I met your mom. So, interestingly enough, Hanukkah is not the most sacred of Jewish holidays. And the reason that they say it's not the most sacred is because it's not actually in the Hebrew Bible. It used to be in the book of Maccabee. Maccabee, by the way, means hammer, and you'll understand in a few minutes what we mean when we talk about Maccabee. But the books 1 and 2 of Maccabee used to be in the New Testament, but they're 2 books that were taken out. There are no Maccabee books any longer within the Bible. If you want to read about the Maccabee, you have to read about it individually. If you go to Amazon.com, you can look up Maccabee books 1 and 2, and you can order them. But the interesting part about that also is that although it talks about the history of what happened and the Great War, nothing is mentioned of the miracle. And it's the miracle that I'm here to talk about today, because that's really what it's all about. But we're going to talk a little bit about a lot of different things. Now, a lot of people think in the USA, they think that Hanukkah is the Jewish Christmas. And in a lot of ways, it really has kind of become that way. There's a religious historian by the name of Diane Ashton. She's a professor of religion and history at Rowan University. She traced Hanukkah in the U.S. and described how the Jewish people had transformed Hanukkah in the past 2 centuries to reflect the evolving traditions of Christmas. And she said that it was inspired by Christmas stories and Christmas events in churches, that American rabbis began introducing special Hanukkah services for the celebrations for the children at the synagogues. Synagogue means temple. They would tell the story of Hanukkah, they would light candles, sing songs, and hand out sweets. This was their way to kind of entice the children. You know, it's time for you for celebration, because kids, I know I can attest to this, Sabbath school is not the most fascinating and interesting thing in the world to attend. I went to Sabbath school for the first 9 or 10 years of my life, and it's not exactly exciting, except for when we have fun festivals. So, you know, so Purim, when we get to dress up in costume and have a festival for Purim, Hanukkah, when we get to celebrate the miracle. So it's interesting that she says that there were 2 rabbis in the, shortly after the Civil War in Cincinnati. Cincinnati, by the way, is where my cousin, I think one of the colleges he went to for rabbinical college. So interestingly enough, these 2 rabbis from Cincinnati were the ones that actually started this tradition, and they published it in their Jewish newspapers so that it became a tradition pretty much going around the country. So isn't that interesting? So what is Hanukkah? Let's go into, you know, Hanukkah, again, going along the line of it's kind of the Jewish Christmas. We didn't actually start giving out gifts until the 20th century. And again, that was because parents didn't want their children to feel left out. How many kids, you know, do you know that they see their friends opening up Christmas gifts and they say, oh, I don't get any of that because I'm Jewish. Wow, talk about feeling like you're left out and like you're alone in the world. It's like, geez. So in the 20th century in America, they started handing out gifts to kids. And believe me, the gifts weren't that amazing. You got 8 nights. Okay, so we used to get 1 big gift. That was usually either the first night or the last night. I think my mom used to give us a choice. We kind of liked waiting till the last night. And then every night as you lit the candles, you would get to open 1 thing. So usually it was socks, you know.
Yay, socks.
Yeah, yay, socks. You know, or mittens, or, you know, little things like that. Dreidels, you know, fun stuff. So Hanukkah, anyway, that's how it became giving gifts. Hanukkah is the word in Hebrew. It actually means dedication. And what it symbolizes is the rededication of the second temple within Jerusalem. And it commemorates a historical event that took place in Jerusalem in the 2nd century BCE. So when the Seleucid Greek Empire was in the ruling power. In 168 BCE, King Antiochus IV Epiphanes decided to invade Judea and revoke all the religious freedoms that his father had imparted to the Jews. Because his father was very generous and very kind. And he said, you might be living in my land and, you know, we're following, you know, this way, the Greek way, but we're going to allow you the freedom to have your religion. Well, when his son took over, he wasn't so kind. So he ordered that the second temple, the second holy temple, be looted, that their services be stopped, and there was an altar that was built to the Greek god Zeus. And they started using that altar to slaughter pigs. And he outlawed the practice of Judaism. And that went on for many years. And the Jews, they had their little ways of protesting, and we'll go into that in a minute. But in the meantime, there was a small army of Jews known as the Maccabees. And as I said, Maccabees is Hebrew for hammer. And they rebelled against this religious persecution through many, many battles and victories until a treaty was signed. And it took a long time before that treaty was signed. And when the Maccabees regained control over the second temple, they removed the symbols of Zeus and they rededicated the temple. Thus the name Hanukkah for dedication. The victory itself was a miracle, but the miracle that really occurred was that of the oil. So as the Jews were reclaiming this temple and they were cleaning and getting everything ready, they came across a tiny jar of oil amidst the wreckage. And this tiny jar also bore the seal of Kohen Gadol. Kohen Gadol was the Jewish high priest. And they were so happy and so overjoyed that they had received this incredible little jar of oil, and it was clean. The oil was still clean. That they made on the altar, they created a brand new menorah. Okay, so menorah. This is my family heirloom right here. This menorah was handed down to me and by my mom at my request. And I love that menorah. And this one over here represents the tree of life. I think it's beautiful as well. Dottie and I can't remember where we got it, but it was gifted to the center. Actually, 2 of them were. I took one of them home. And so a menorah just means candle holder. And the Jewish people light menorahs every night, you know. But their normal menorahs only hold 7 candles, 1 for each day of the week. This is called Hanukkah menorah. Hanukkah menorah actually holds 9 candles, but only 8 of them represent Hanukkah. One of them is the helper candle called the Shema. So they built a menorah, and it's to replace the statues that were built and things that were stolen by the Syrians. And with their meager supply of oil, they lit the menorah, and they only expected it to last for 1 night. But somehow or another, when they lit this menorah, and it bathed the holy wall and the holy temple, beautiful flames on the walls, they actually, it lasted 8 nights. And that was the miracle of Hanukkah. That 1 day's worth of oil lasted for 8 nights. And although they're calling, today is not the first day of Hanukkah, actually tomorrow is the first day of Hanukkah, but in the Jewish religion, all holidays begin at sunset the night before. So that's why tonight is the first night of Hanukkah, and we light the first candle of Hanukkah. And you'll notice that on the menorahs that I put up here, I only put 1 candle because it's the first night. In the middle, the one that's taller, as I said, is called the Shema. And the Shema is, like I said, called the helper. And it's actually, on the candle holder, it's actually meant for not only being the helper just to light Hanukkah candles, because that is the candle that you would light first. Now, we can't light candles today. We're going to virtually light candles. But it's, even if any of your lights, if any of these candles went out, and even if the Shema went out, you would take and you would light the Shema and relight the other candles. So you want to have them go all the way through down until the end. And so at sunset, the mother, the head of the household, usually lit the candles. That's the tradition. It's the feminine tradition for Hanukkah and what we give. And so tonight there will be 1 candle with the Shema. Tomorrow night there will be 2 candles with the Shema. The night after there will be 3 candles with the Shema, and so on until we reach the final night, which is all 8 candles, 4 on each side of the Shema. Jan, do you want to hold that up a little bit?
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Until all 8 candles are lit. And usually, in our family at least, we would celebrate by getting together on the first night of Hanukkah with all my cousins, my aunt, my uncle, my mom, you know, all my siblings. And we would, you know, have fun food.
Yay.
And Hanukkah gelt, which we'll talk about. And it was a wonderful thing. So basically, that's the story of Hanukkah and what they called the great miracle. Yes, Chris?
If you don't mind, I'd like to add in one piece that I find really interesting.
Yeah.
So, why is 8 an important number? I mean, we know what happened, but then, different answer. So this is what I found in some research I was doing, was that in order to consecrate the oil, only certain people could consecrate the oil. It took 8 days to make the oil, because the men who made the consecrated oil had to go through, I don't remember if it was 7 days, let's say maybe it was 7 days of fasting and prayer and cleansing. So they had to become purified in order to make more oil. So the magic of the 8 days is that it gave them 8 days to go through the ritual purification so that they could then make effectively the next batch of oil.
Thank you. That's really fascinating. I didn't find that part as I was doing my research. So what do we get to eat on Hanukkah? This is your permission, guys. You get to eat deep fried foods. Woohoo! Deep fried is the biggie. You know, latkes. Yes. So that's the two traditional foods that we would have at our holidays were latkes, which were our deep fried potato pancakes. I love them. They're made with matzah meal and you know, potatoes, of course, onions, and just delicious and fried up. And we used to have them with applesauce and sour cream. Yep. So yummy. And the other deep fried food that is very traditional is called a sufgan yot. I probably didn't pronounce it correctly, but which is fried jelly donuts.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was watching on the cooking channel yesterday, and the holiday baking championship, and they had the bakers make their own version of their fried jelly donuts. It was kind of interesting to watch to see what they did. So of course, any other fried food. So tonight you can have fried chicken, you can have fried fish, you can have anything that is in oil. Guess why? It's obvious why. Because, you know, we're celebrating the miracle of the oil. The other thing that we do is we play with dreidels. Here's a dreidel, and I doubt that you'll see it too well from where you're at in the back of the room, but hopefully for those people on Zoom, they can see it. And the dreidel was a part of the protest, because when the Jewish people were not allowed to study the Torah, they were not allowed to practice Judaism, they would get together and they would play dreidel, which is a gambling game. And when nobody was watching, that's when they could sit and discuss the Torah. And they could talk about the Torah. And on each side of the dreidel is a Hebrew letter. Okay? And the Hebrew letters all together, they say, translates into a great miracle happened there. And the 4 symbols are what's used in the game of dreidel. So you could play to gamble. Usually they use nuts or little pieces of candy. Today I brought in Hanukkah gelt. Not guilt. This is not guilt. There's nothing guilty about this. It is a guilty pleasure, not a guilty pleasure. And these, by the way, there's enough up here for everybody to take at least one.
Yay!
Milk chocolate, kosher, gluten-free, straight, and you know, so blessed by rabbis, so these are all perfect gelt, okay? You use these as a betting tool. So everybody would throw in their, you know, their piece of gelt, or they would throw in a candy, or nuts, or whatever they were doing, and then they would spin the dreidel. So if it came up with the shin, actually I should be reading it from the right side, because that's what they say we should be doing. Let me see here. There we go. So we actually would start with the nun. So that's this one right here. And it said nun means none. So if you spin the dreidel and it lands on the nun, you win nothing that's in that pot. If you spin and you get the gimel, which looks a little bit like a noon, but it has a little tail on the end of it. The gimel means you get everything in the pot. Woo! You can win it all. Yeah. Okay.
Winner.
Yeah. If you get the hay, which looks kind of, like a little, I don't know.
High side.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you get the hay means you would get half of the pot.
Okay, yeah.
And if you get the shin, which looks like this W sort of, then you have to put something into the pot.
Oh.
And then you would play until the pot is filled and everybody was out of stuff, and whoever had the most, whoever ended up with the most wins.
Yay.
So there's your...
That is so fun.
Yeah. So please do come up at the end of the service and have some Hanukkah guilt. Because it's milk chocolate, so if you don't like milk chocolate, sorry. But, but if you like milk chocolate, help yourself. It's so good. So let's see. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to sing for you the prayer that is done when we light the candle. And I'm going to turn my back to you when I do it, so Ed, you should be able to pick me up. Sort of. Don't worry, I got a loud voice. So what happens is the mom of the family lights the Shema's candle. Okay, I'll do it with my side to you. How's that? When you light the Shema's, you sing. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu l'chadlik ner shel Hanukkah. That's how we sing it.
Yay.
Light the one candle. Put it back in here. You let the candles burn until they go all the way down. And what that prayer means in English is, Blessed are you, O God, ruler of the universe, who makes us holy through your commandments and commands us to light the Hanukkah lights. I find it very interesting, again, that it's really become a sacred holiday or a non-sacred holiday, because it's not, like I said, in the Hebrew Bible. And, sorry, I'm a little distracted here. I think God is calling us in a lot of different ways today. He's yelling at me for not remembering the Baruch.
God is applauding your courage.
Oh, I can't believe that I forgot it, but one time I was at my aunt and uncle's house and they were, and we were for Passover, and it's the same tune for the Baruch. You just change it to Shel Hanukkah, Shel Passover, Shel whatever. And they couldn't remember it, so I guess I'm excused, because they were much more along the lines of spirit, of Judaism than I was. So I like to think of Hanukkah not just as a time of giving gifts or as a time of, I love the lighting of the candles. And my sister, actually, she went and she wants to honor our family, and she bought a menorah for the first time in her life. And she texted me yesterday, sent me the picture of the menorah, and she said, when you go to light your candle tonight, would you text me, and then I'll light mine at the same time as you light yours, so we could be there together in spirit. Doing that in honor of our mom. Our mom passed away December 16th last year. And it was just, amazing. So I don't normally light candles at Hanukkah. I forget. But now I have a real good reason to remember. I have a great reason to remember my family. So what I'd like to think about for Hanukkah is, it is a time of giving, but what can we truly give? We can truly give from our hearts. Exactly, April. Exactly. April's giving me symbols. Thank you. Because that is a time of giving from our heart. are always, I hope, giving from our hearts. I hope that we are always sharing in one way or another. But this is like a time to be more conscious of it. Sort of like, it's interesting how we have to have holidays to remind us to be thankful, and a holiday to remind us to, to give something. But maybe it just helps us. Maybe it helps us stay in line. Because we have all these holidays all throughout the year. And we have so many pieces of history where so many people's traditions and ways of worshiping and so on and so forth were taken away from them and then hopefully given back, because that's what we're here for. To honor each and every path, to honor each and every person. So this is a time to honor not only ourselves, but to honor other people. This is also a time to renew our faith. Because Hanukkah was all about, they had no idea that those candles would last as long as they did. They had no idea that they could make it through those 8 sacred nights with that tiny, tiny, tiny bit of oil that was there. The great miracle that happened there. But they must have had some sort of faith. They had enough faith to keep fighting. They had enough faith to keep going until it was time to sign that treaty. It took years. It took many years. But when they did, and they rededicated, the miracle happened. So we share by giving to others, whether that be giving a smile, opening a door for somebody, letting somebody go in the line in front of you at the grocery store. There's just so many simple ways to share and so many simple ways to give. And we believe in the miracle of life. Every day that you get up and you wake up, it's a miracle. You're breathing. That's a miracle. We don't have to think about breathing. Nobody tells you, yes, when we're doing, meditation or whatever, take a deep breath in and let it out. But you don't have to continually tell yourself all day long, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. You don't. Okay? We are a miracle because we are surviving and here giving love still and caring, even through all the craziness that's been going on in the world. No matter what the political environment is, no matter what people are saying religiously, one of the most beautiful things in the world is my cousin. He is a rabbi, and he's doing multi-faith stuff now, which I think is really awesome. And when there was a mosque that was damaged near where his temple was, his congregants and he went down and helped to rebuild. Wow. And when other people's temples have been destroyed and things have been happening still to this day against the Jewish people, against Muslim people, against Christians, against anybody, it's the hatred, the anger that happens. You see beautiful Muslim people coming to the Jews and wanting to help them. The war that's happening is not necessarily a religious war in any way. It's almost as though it's I don't know, I believe it's in the land. There's just something that's within the energy in there that continues this. But you'll find that some people are best friends regardless of how different their backgrounds are. That's the gift of giving. That's the miracle of life. That's the loving energy that together we create peace. Somehow we find it within our own hearts that we create love, that we give joy and we can laugh. I laughed over myself doing the Baruch wrong. I'll know how to do it tonight when I light with my sister. But the other thing my sister said to me was, I'm going to spend the rest of the nights, instead of singing the prayer, I'm just going to reflect over the good times that we've had. So when I was a kid, I think I told you we would have the latkes. Another tradition in my family that was a ton of fun was we would have a piñata.
Yay.
And if you look it up online, I tried to look it why are there pinatas on Hanukkah? And all I saw was advertisements for, get your Hanukkah pinata here. I don't know if it's a California thing, but that's another way of giving. It's another way of creating a miracle. You know, we kids would get blindfolded and we would hit the pinata and the candy would go all over the place. And what we could do is, instead of being selfish, we could say, oh, you wanted this one? Okay, you can have this chocolate bar. Okay, you can have this. You can give to each other. Let's keep those prayers. Let's keep that beautiful energy going. Create your own traditions for Hanukkah. Create your own traditions for this time of year. This is the beginning of the time of year where we are reminded of so many different traditions and so many different miracles that there are. And so I think that I'm going to close with just saying that I love you, and I wish you all a very, very happy Hanukkah. And did you have a question?
Well,
Yes.
I wanted to ask you something.
Yes.
I grew up around a Jewish family, and they didn't do presents, they did envelopes with money. What's
Yes.
that about?
That's the same thing. That's another giving.
Yeah, because
Money's good.
my mother would, yeah, well, I know, I'd go, how much did you get tonight? We were little, but my mother and I would buy her, the gal, a present. We couldn't wrap it.
Right.
We would just give it to her.
Mm-hmm.
And I, as a kid, I thought, God, this is weird.
Well, ours was wrapped, and I think a lot of it might have to do with the tradition that their family goes in. Because in Judaism, there's many, many, many different types of Judaism. My family, at least on my mother, my siblings, and myself, we were what we called Reform.
Oh.
And Reform was like, kind of sort of, we're the hippies.
Yeah.
We're the hippies of the Jewish religion. We kind of do what we want to do, and a lot more relaxed. There's the Chassid, which the ones you see with the curls, extremely strict rules and laws. Women really have no rights in those families. It's a very, very different thing. There is Orthodox, there's conservative, there's, I believe, what's called Hebrew Humanism, which is more like a New Age sort of Judaism that was born in probably the 1990s or so. So many different ways of doing it. The main thing, of course, is to study the Torah, which is the first 5 books of the Old Testament and the Talmud. But we used to, Hanukkah gelt could be money, right? It didn't have to be the chocolate. So yeah, giving gifts as money, that was the gift. Mm-hmm.
They would sit around and the dad would hand out these envelopes to the 3 or 4 kids.
That's wonderful. That's a great tradition.
But it was so, how much money did you have?
Yeah.
You might say a quarter, and then the next night I'd go, how much money did you get? I just thought that was so cool.
Yeah.
Because I never got money.
Isn't that funny? Because, my mom was like the opposite way. She would go over to her friend's house that were celebrating Christmas or Easter or whatever, and she was like, ooh, did Santa come to your house? I want to see what Santa brings you. So isn't that neat? And isn't that wonderful? Isn't that another miracle? And the beauty of the world. That no matter what we see on the news, it's only this much of the story. Because there's so many more people like us out there that are open and willing and ready to do that.
What is this about in the schools now? Isn't it Jewish people that they don't celebrate anything in the schools?
They never have.
Oh, they never have. Oh.
No. We were allowed to take Rosh Hashanah off because it's the high holy days, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. We were allowed to take those days off, but it wasn't considered, the holidays mostly are around, either national holidays or, or Christian-based,
Well, I know when they had, when I would go and help my daughter's classrooms, the Jewish children didn't know. They got the day off.
Yeah.
They weren't even there for the Christmas celebrations and that.
That's funny, because I was there for the Christmas celebrations, but I think it just depends on where you grow up and what the traditions were at that time, and and maybe the families kept them home.
Yeah, well, I think so too.
And we have to wrap it.
Okay, so I have to wrap it up here. But one of the cool things I have to tell you is I saw the most cool Hanukkah display as I was driving, where was I driving, to my naturopath or something, and I saw they had the great menorahs and all kinds of stuff on their yard. So do we have a minute for, what I wanted to do was close with having Janet come up and sing Shalom Aleichem, which is a song for Let There Be Peace, basically.
Okay, and Jan, when you come up, Gabrielle, what announcement did you want to make?
And I'm going to say thank you very much, by the way, and happy
Thank you.
Hanukkah.
Thank you, that was great.
For our miracle today.
There are miracles everywhere. It depends how you see it. I'm Gabrielle here with the Billy DeFrank Center. I am so happy you are here. And, you know, when we were trying to figure out the holiday season, we celebrate everything, but we only show symbols that go across all the celebrations. And you know what the only symbol is that works? Snowflakes. It is the neutral way to celebrate everything. I think that's really funny.
True, yeah.
It didn't actually work in Australia because it's summertime this time of the year. La la. But anyway, I want to say I have a ton of food from Trader Joe's. We're going to put it in the back there. We have bags there. Please take it all. We have a bunch of burritos, but we also have vegetables and fruit, and take what you want, and I want all of it to go as part of Hanukkah.
Thank you. Okay, Jan, are you going to be playing a song for us?
Do you want to pass the baskets while Jenna's singing Shalom Aleichem?
Well, we certainly may.
Okay.
But that's hard. It's hard to sing like this if you're trying
That's
to
true.
write a check.
Okay, we'll do the baskets right after that.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do the
Baskets after.
baskets after or baskets now?
After, yeah.
Yivenu Shalom Aleichem. Yivenu Shalom Aleichem. Yivenu Shalom Aleichem. Yivenu Shalom, Shalom, Shalom Aleichem. Yivenu Shalom Aleichem. Yivenu Shalom Aleichem. Yivenu Shalom Aleichem. Yivenu Shalom, Shalom, Shalom Aleichem. Yivenu Shalom Aleichem. Yivenu Shalom Aleichem. Yivenu Shalom Aleichem. Yivenu Shalom, Shalom, Shalom Aleichem.
Oh, thank you so much. And one other thing, I don't know if you noticed on your program, but the woman who is going to be speaking for Rima on December 19th is her lineage is that her ancestors were one of the wise men.
Oh, wow.
And she is incredible. She comes from Iran, and she is a Zoroastrian because the wise men were Zoroastrians. So we want you to make sure, tell your neighbors, tell your friends, this beautiful lady is going to be speaking for us right before Christmas. Okay?
So let's say our affirmation. Giving to the ministry from which we receive our spiritual support and nurturing is an affirmation and consciousness of the truth that Spirit is the prospering power, enriching every area of our lives.
Amen.